Day 198 of a screenwriter's journey starts with a little bit of a detour, as so many of them do. And the reason for it is this. I was talking with one of my sons yesterday, one of my sons that I'm writing one of the Jake and Luke parts for, who's out in the Hollywood area doing the acting thing when these stupid vaccine mandates get lifted. Anyways, don't get me started on that crap. And so he and his brother, I think I've mentioned this, have both read the earlier version of the script. This was like way back. I'd be afraid to say when, probably September-ish of last year. In fact, yeah, because I mentioned that they read it out loud when we were in a road trip up north, northern Michigan. And so they read it through and they liked it. They had some comments, pretty excited about it. And that's the point where I sent it out to the two other women, well, two women, writing peers, great people, excellent feedback. I did some touch-up work, super excited. Sent it to my industry guy, not the producer, but the writer, executive producer of the past very successful TV show that another one of my sons met, and I haven't really befriended him, I'd say, but correspond with him occasionally. He wrote back with the Hiroshima, or at least Nagasaki. Which one was bigger? I would say this pretty devastating. And so it's led to this last 100 and close to 100 days, not quite, but when it gets done, it will be. And so I haven't told anyone really, including my sons, much about it other than I was struggling, trying to make it work. And so, I mean, I think it's working better now, not on day 198 necessarily, but where I am in the present day, which is, as usual, about 6 weeks ahead. And so what's my point? Well, I was talking to him yesterday, and he asked about it because he had been in contact with the producer himself and some other people trying to get their attention for acting, not in this, but in other things. Hopefully in this too. Anyways, I digress. He said, well, when are you going to send it out? And so we had a brief conversation about at what point do you send out a script. His contention was, one way of looking at it is you send it out and see if they're at all interested sort of in the genre, in what it would mean for this one actress that I'm writing it for, if she would be at all interested in his estimation or not. And then if they are, she is, he is, whatever, then maybe they don't exactly like it, but say, yeah, you got a good start. And then I could say, well, I've got 5 other versions that I've been working on. So what do you want me to do? So that's kind of one take on it. The other take, which I espouse and I guess always been a proponent of, is what I would say most writers do, hopefully, especially on spec scripts, is write the absolutely best script that you can and that you like and that you've gotten peer reviewed or coverage or however you do it. And even though it's going to take longer, wait until you have that and then use that as your calling card, because are you going to get a second chance? I guess in this particular circumstance, so let's say he gets it. I mean, in a perfect world, or a darn good one, he gets it, he loves it, he says, all right, let's go ahead, and then there's a typical rewrites and all that stuff. So that's, realistically 1 in a 1,000 or something. Or he says, I like it, I see what you're doing with this, but I need some work, and so why don't you go back and work on it? Maybe he gives me notes, maybe he doesn't, and we go on our merry ways. C, he says, I don't really like it, but I can see that you write okay, or, what else do you have? What other stories do you have? And then, I mean, that would be fine too. Or D, he says, not really. Thanks for your work. See you later. Which I would 100% not blame him for saying that. Maybe 1%. So that's, I just can't see me. I don't know. It's really hard because, I mean, I could send out that version that they all liked and the one guy didn't. And he might say, wow, this is really good. But I have a feeling if I reread that right now, I would probably cringe. Gosh, that's hard to say. I mean, it's not hard to say in that way. It's hard to say in that it makes me sound like I have no faith in that original one, which I thought was so good at the time. But I think I'm more inclined at this point, 198 days in, to finish this new version, which I'm getting fairly close to, he said, not for the first time, and then work it over, get some feedback. And then, if people go, wow, this is just not good at all, you better send them your first one. Then I guess I would go ahead and do that. I have thought about how, and I've mentioned this, how I could like surgically go in and just try to fix some things that the one guy had the biggest problems with. But as I thought about that and what that would entail and the story changes, et cetera, I just don't think it's workable. I don't think it's doable. So we'll see what happens. But my inclination right now is to just work this version until I'm happy with it, knowing that I can't take forever doing it, and get it out to him. I will say that I've emailed this producer a couple times in the past month or so and have not heard back from him. So I don't think I fear that he's completely blown me off. It's always a possibility. I know he's super busy with stuff. And I do know, and this is a little daunting, that a movie he recently produced, he found the script on the blacklist, which of course is where the cream of the crop of rejected scripts go. Not always, but sometimes. And so, that's another little fly in the ointment. Not that I don't expect him to be looking for super awesome scripts, but knowing that he and his people have read hundreds and hundreds of scripts. And again, they're looking for certain parameters in terms of costs and themes and that sort of thing. So it's all part of the game. I had another thought, but I do see where I have that lady that's rich. And I don't know if this is my first time through or when I read that, but I do sort of like this. Unfortunately, I don't know that it's going to make the next cut. But in terms of this story, so this is where Holly and Hogan find out that Ace and Clyde, at least unless they're lying, which they're not, they don't work for Salerno, meaning who do they work for? Do they work for Holly? Probably not. Do they work for Rachel? Ding, ding, ding. Does it go ding, ding, ding or ding, ding, ding? I don't know. So I'm on a pretty good little roll here. But again, this whole second cabin idea, I mean, I kind of like what I've written, but I see on page 83, and this isn't even the third act. I don't really feel like I have a kind of a all is lost thing, which I should have had by now. So it's one of those things, like I mentioned, you get so consumed with the writing, you kind of forget where you are in the story and what needs to be happening. Day 198 in the can. Bye.